Well, Aunt Patty, it's so good to see you, even though it's remote. I'm glad you're here on It Happened to Me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm very happy that it's about to be the weekend. It's been a long week. How's life treating you down there?
It's been really good.
Yeah, you doing okay
Okay.
with all the COVID stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, it makes me happy. So, as we were kind of talking about before the show started, your daughter told me that you've had some pretty crazy experiences with the paranormal. So, why don't you tell me one or two of your most interesting or favorite stories?
Okay. Well, the one that sticks out in my head is I had rented a house after my mom passed away, and it was during the holiday season. Me and a girlfriend of mine were going to go out, and Bobby and Crystal were in the living room watching a Christmas movie. They were laying on the floor with their little pillows, and I had gone into the garage, and my girlfriend was in my bedroom, and I had gone into the garage to get a pair of jeans out of the dryer, and I heard a female's voice say, "Cut the noise." Well, I come back in and I went and told the kids, I said, "Y'all need to be quiet." And they just kind of looked at me. And I went back in the bedroom and she said, "Why did you tell them to be quiet and cut the noise? They haven't said anything." I said, "Well, I thought you told them to cut the noise." She said, "I didn't say anything. I thought you said it." And I said, "No, it wasn't me." So we hurried, got up, got dressed, got the kids, and we left. I was taking them to dad's to babysit. So I come home that night, probably about 2:30 in the morning, and my front door was ajar.
Uh-oh.
And I thought, well, maybe I didn't shut it all the way, and maybe it just come open.
And just out of curiosity, what part of the world is this in? Like, where are
In,
you in the world?
in Victoria.
Okay, so this is
Victoria.
in Victoria. Okay.
Yes, in the Shenandoah subdivision.
Okay.
And so I went ahead and checked the house, make sure no one was in it, and I locked everything up. And normally I slept in a t-shirt, and I was going to do some more things in the house. So I put on this little house dress that my mom had given me years before she passed away. It was pink with red and white checkered pockets and
Okay.
button-up snaps. So being that the door was open, I put my clothes hamper in front of my bedroom door after I locked it. And I took off my little house coat and laid it beside my bed. So I went to sleep. The next morning I woke up, reached down to get that house coat, and it was gone.
That's
But
creepy feeling.
yeah, in its place was a little nightgown that I had given to my mom when she gave me that house dress.
Wow. Okay.
Because it was kind of a peach colored and it had lace across the front and it itched me. And she said, "Well, here, take this one and I'll take that one." I've never to this day seen that pink house coat with the pockets on it.
Interesting.
And I had never seen that house dress since I gave it to my mom a couple of years before she passed away.
Wow.
Yeah,
So she took hers back and gave you yours back.
pretty much, yes. Yep, she said this thing, I bet she was thinking, this thing itches me too. So she just took it back and took her comfortable little pink one.
That's crazy. And so did you ever hear anybody talk like that again, or in that area?
We had some strange going ons in that house. Things would be moved.
Anything
In
that ever
place.
made you uncomfortable besides that one night where the door was ajar?
Yeah, I left shortly after that. My lease was up, and thank God. So we didn't renew our lease. But that
Interesting.
was probably the most that I can think of
Sure.
that stuck out in my mind. I'm sure there were other ones that I haven't really thought too much about.
Yeah. But you actually ended up with the house coat that you had given her before she passed, or the
Yes.
nightgown.
Yes. and my hamper was still in front of my door,
Interesting.
and the door opened inward.
Right.
So there's no way that someone could have come through the door without knocking it over or was able to put it back.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
that was very
So
strange.
would you say that before this, and I mean, I don't know you that well, you're my aunt, but I didn't get to spend that much time with you. So were you a paranormal believer, or do you consider yourself to be a paranormal believer now?
I've always believed in it. I've always believed that there's spirits around us. Yes. I've never really, I've never had that close of an encounter, I guess you could say,
Sure.
that happened to me. I mean, I know of other encounters that happened to other people, but that's the one that has happened to me that really sticks out in my head.
Well, yeah, that one's pretty intense.
Yeah. Yes.
I
I
mean,
mean, we
especially
did
if
have,
like you have an interesting story behind the exchange of the house coat and the nightgown. You said,
yes.
why don't I don't like this one, it itches me. So it's not like you were going to forget that you had it still.
Oh, absolutely not, because I wore that little pink one all the time because mom gave it to me. So
Okay.
yeah, and it was her favorite house coat before she gave it to me. Yeah, it was kind of odd.
I guess the good news is now she's got a nice non-itchy house coat.
Yes. I mean, I know I had a conversation with dad before he passed away. And I think on his part, it was more of a premonition
Hmm.
on what took place. But he was in a rehab, a rest home rehab after he'd been ill, had a stroke. And I'd ask him, once again, it was around Christmas. And I asked him what he wanted for Christmas. And he said, as daddy called everybody baby, he said, baby, don't get me anything for Christmas. I'm not going to be here. I said, where are you going? You don't drive and everybody's coming here for Christmas.
Right.
And he said, no. He said, this year I'm going to go see mama. I said, okay. I said, so what do you want for Christmas?
Yeah.
And he said, no, seriously, I'm not going to be here. He said, I've been thinking about it. He said, I want to be there on Christmas Day. And he said, I figure it's going to take me about 2 weeks to get there. Daddy passed away in the early mornings of December the 11th.
That's pretty crazy.
Exactly 2 weeks prior to Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I know that and I think you and I kind of talked about this before, that I ended up missing his funeral because we were in
Mm-hmm.
Colorado, and that would be the week that we were gone. We always went 2 weeks before Christmas because we wanted to be back for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my dad telling me a story similar to
Mm-hmm.
that he heard Mama calling,
Yes.
and he didn't tell me specifically that he wasn't going to be there, but he said, I went and visited him, and he was like, yeah, don't worry about getting this stuff set up. Don't worry about getting these other things moved in or whatever, because I hear Mama calling. I'm not going to be here long.
Yeah. He knew. I mean, he had to have known, or he couldn't have said those words. And it happened exactly 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, and I guess everybody, like I said, I think everybody has some brushes with things that are unusual in their life, and sometimes you can brush them off. You can
Yes.
just say, well, that was coincidental. But something
Mm-hmm.
like that, where someone you love says, I'm not going to be here, then you don't have to worry about it. That's pretty straightforward, I think.
I think he had his plans made. Why he thought it would take 2 weeks, I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
apparently, he had some conversation with somebody that told him it would be 2 weeks.
Right. I
Maybe he
mean, I
had
don't
that
I don't know how
conversation
you
with
plan for that journey.
exactly. I mean, you don't have to pack, but still, the destination and the time frame was kind of eerie.
Yeah. Well, and did you ever have anything interesting happen with the kids? Anything that they told you about?
Crystal had mentioned something about that same house that after we moved out, someone she knew moved in.
Oh, really?
I don't know the details on that.
Okay. Well, I might have to get her on the show and get her to tell me what's going on.
Yeah, that would probably be pretty cool since it was the same house and different people.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you telling me your story. And after I finish the recording, we can just hang out and chat just a little bit. But
Okay.
I guess, do you think that your encounters made you be on the lookout more for those kinds of things, or believe other people more when they tell you their stories?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I've always believed that there were, like when you see a cardinal, as the story goes, that it's someone, that has passed has come back to see you. And I've had a lot of times that I could be speaking about my parents or one of my brothers or one of my friends that I've lost. And within a day or two, I see a cardinal, or even the same day.
I'd actually never heard that. That's news to me. I'll have to check into that.
Yeah. They say that when that cardinal shows up, that's someone. As a matter of fact, I had one fly at my face when
Okay.
I was in Fredericksburg this past weekend. And me and a girlfriend of mine were actually, had talked about our parents, and stuff like that a couple of days before. And I was out there by myself, and I was literally sitting outside drinking a cup of coffee, and I seen that cardinal. He was sitting on the fence post, and I looked at that cardinal, and it flew straight at me,
It said,
and
hey,
then
pay attention to me.
yeah, and then it like veered off right. I mean, within 2 foot of my face, it veered off. I almost threw my coffee cup. I seriously thought it was going to hit me in the face, but he took off to the other side. So it's weird because that's mom and dad's stomping grounds up there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that, yeah, all that area, that was kind of where I grew up, is in that hill country
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and Fredericksburg and New Braunfels and Dripping Springs and
Yep.
Johnson City, all of that area up in there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I
all right.
believe dad, if memory serves me right, was born in Ingram, which is about 30 minutes from Fredericksburg.
Yeah, I didn't know where he was born. I've looked into it a little bit on ancestry.com, but I know that my dad had looked into that pretty extensively, and I hope at some point to be able to get some of those records. But we kind of talked about that. That's all water under the
Mm-hmm.
bridge at this point. But I just want to say
Well, I
again,
believe
thank you for being on the show. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we can just hang out and talk.
that sounds good to me, dear.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.